Welcome back to S.N.O.T. Today, on this cosplay edition, we're going to talk to Your Girl Olive. Your Girl Olive is a cosplayer that is most notably known for Batgirl and Spider-Gwen. And I know there's a couple other ones that obviously are out there. Those are just the two that I found most relevant in your Instagram. So how are you doing today, Olive?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Oh, doing fantastic. Just trying to survive this 114 Vegas weather we got. Where are you located?
I'm in Washington, D.C., and I go between Washington and New York.
Oh, fantastic. How's the weather? Is it better than 114?
I'm going to say we're doing better down here.
Fantastic. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So basically, I grew up reading comics. I loved the Batman animated series, and I loved any Marvel or DC movie that was put out. And I got into cosplay because the characters really resonated with me, and I really fell in love with it and the community.
So cosplay, it involves, knowing the characters, wanting to be involved in that lifestyle, as well as like kind of being arts and craftsy. Like, would you say you were arts and craftsy? Mm-hmm.
I'd say so. Maybe not as much as some cosplayers. I really like sourcing things cheaply and then modifying them to make them my own. You can turn a $10 cat suit into a full-blown Black Widow cosplay if you try. So I guess it's part of knowing the way things look and just trying to find things yourself and kind of, scouting them out, I suppose.
Okay. So it's kind of like antiquing for things to put together into a costume.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can get your own full-blown cosplay and get it commissioned. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg, though. You can cosplay fairly cheaply and really reuse a lot of the things that you use for former cosplays for new ones. You just have to learn how to do it right. I
see that a lot of cosplayers, if they're at a certain level, they make a costume that a lot of people voted for or whatever, and then after that they'll sell parts of the costume out. Is that something that you do or know about?
It's something that I haven't done very often. I made my own Harley gun where I 3D printed it, painted it, and embellished it. And I have sold one of those guns, so I guess in some cases I do commissions, but it's very rare because it is very time-consuming. And I think generally, at least, you tailor every piece that you make for cosplay for yourself. So selling things off, it's easy in terms of the demand for it, but having it fit the person correctly might not be as easy.
Okay. And so you said that earlier that you connected with the characters, right? Who are some characters Absolutely. That you've connected with that made you start this? Or want to start it?
Well, growing up, Poison Ivy really resonated with me. She, had this very tight-knit relationship with Harley, and she was very independent and really took control of her own life and was able to, I guess, manipulate people, but did it in such a very smart way where she could get what she wanted. And she was very well educated, and she spoke very eloquently to the point where I just thought, I want to be her. And then I started reading more comics, and I found Wonder Woman, and I thought, I want to be her too. And as I read more comics and as I watched more movies, I just found so many more characters that I aspired to be, random traits, not just, an entire persona, but, you want Wonder Woman's strength, you want Poison Ivy's genes and her ability to, manipulate things using science, all sorts of things. And it's an incredible universe. I mean, there's so much.
I feel the same way about Batman, and that
hell yeah.
he was he was able to overcome a really big tragedy with his parents, and always having regardless of what goes on with the Joker or any just villain in general, like he'll never cross that line. And like to me, that's like just keeping like who you are intact no matter what. And and I don't know, like I've been kind of living by that for a moment, and it just makes me feel good, to think that regardless of what can happen, I know I can always stay a certain way. And really it's because of a fictional character, right? Like it's because of, and also his ability to think on the spot, his ability to stay cool during, intense situations and always be like,
absolutely.
Like a lot of people see him as like, okay, like he's dark and brooding, like, he's probably not the funnest cat at the party, but he can be if he wanted to, but he chooses not to, instead of going out and talking, he'll sit back and listen or watch, and learn.
And they have such a strict moral code, and that really also teaches you how to kind of live your life. If you want to be like this person, you have to follow their morals as well. And generally, they're good morals.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's great that you kind of found the same way with the different characters involved in his world.
Absolutely.
So, describe the process from start to finish on what you considered your toughest outfit or commission to make.
So, I mean, Wonder Woman's very hard, obviously, and that's armor, but the hardest one for me was Suicide Squad Harley Quinn because it's so detail oriented. You know, you can get the Daddy's Little Monster shirt, you can get the sequin shorts anywhere, but it's about the tiny little details that really makes Harley Harley. It's about placing every single tattoo. It's about looking at photos and counting every single like part of her ear cuff that makes it, you know, Harley. It's about that shade of lipstick. It's about how she does her makeup. It's every little piece. And in terms of that particular costume, it was so meticulously done. You know, she had these amazing bracelets and her choker and just everything was just so accessorized. So, in order to do that cheaply, you have to learn how to source these things in many different places and do it well, obviously, to try to, you know, make it as screen accurate as possible. So it was definitely hard because, you know, you can get the jacket and the shirt and the shorts easily, but when it comes to the cuffs and all the like little parts, you definitely have to really scout out for them. And I guess putting that all together, that took me several months for sure. And it was constant, just going on eBay, going on AliExpress, just basically any website where I could get things cheaply, you know, where anything could pop up. I would, you know, reload pages, ask fellow cosplayers, just anything to try to get it as perfect as I possibly could.
That's really cool. Like I'm looking at it right now, and it does look very accurate. It does look really good. So, you know, good job. It's good.
Thank you so much.
So when you're saying outsourcing, you're saying eBay, and so you primarily just do online versus like going out to local stores or getting fabric from Joann's or anything like that?
I do antique and I do source fabric mainly online though. I've noticed that at craft stores, they generally don't really have everything I'm looking for. At least for me, it's not the easiest to find Warbler or to find the fabric I want, whereas online they have all of that stuff, and generally it's much easier to shop, whereas in a store, you know, you can pull a few things and you can look at the difference of prices, but online you can really compare tons of websites and compare, you know, taxes and shipping and handling and really figure out what your best deal is and what works best with your cosplay. So I would say that I do generally get most things from online.
Okay. So there's another picture that I saw that looks like an interesting cosplay. It's called the Witch Mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I got some help to make that cosplay. Actually, I wish I could have done all of that by myself. But that was basically just a last minute idea. I wanted to do regular Mercy, and then I saw pictures of Witch Mercy, and I decided that's what I have to do. It's still not entirely finished. The wig I cut right before I did my shoot. The back of it wasn't even tailored correctly. I used garbage clips to clip it behind me where it was too big. But you know what? It worked. And I didn't have any shoes with it. I walked around with just wearing the boot covers. But I had a great time. And it's really, I guess, what you make of the cosplay that you have. And so right now I'm just trying to finish it up, to sew it correctly so it will actually fit me, and making some shoes. So that was definitely a very intricate one.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying last minute, but I mean, to me, last minute, it's like, oh, I'm gonna be like Iron Man. I'm gonna go buy some suit. You know, I'm gonna go buy something. This looks way more than last minute. So either you're on that professional level or you're just being modest. But also, that's a wig. That's a blonde wig you're wearing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's ridiculous. That looks like your real hair.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's funny because there's another cosplayer we talked to, Brianna DeCoster, and she does Gamora. Like that's her thing. And
I love that.
Yeah, for sure. And she has this wig that I swear was her real hair. Like I'm looking at pictures and just zooming in and everything, and it just looks so perfect. Like I watch the videos, it just looks perfect. And she's like, "Nah, it's a wig." And it's crazy because she was like, "It's not even an expensive wig." She had bought it at for $10 at some hole in the wall in Jersey, and she did a couple things to modify it. She dyed it, and that's all it was.
Wow.
That's the craziest thing.
Yeah, I mean, generally, obviously lace front wigs, that really mimics a hairline. But, I've gotten a lot of just $10 wigs off Amazon. You just have to style them correctly, and they do the exact same thing.
Wow.
It's just about putting in the extra effort, I suppose.
So do you sew at all? Or what's the extent to your, your I guess, skills?
I do sew. Back at school in my arts department, there was a sewing machine that I would use. At home, I don't have a sewing machine, so I would have to hand sew. So worst comes to worst, I have stapled my cosplays before. Not gonna lie, the back of my Wonder Woman armor is stapled, and it works. I stapled it and then hot glue gunned it so the staples wouldn't cut me, and it works. I mean, if it holds it together and if you can walk around on a con floor all day, it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to work.
No, I mean, it still looks really good. I mean, no one's going to be looking at your back anyways because you have that cape going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so for what I'm looking at, it looks kind of like leather. Is that like a leather breastplate and skirt, I guess?
It's warble underneath, and it's lined with a metallic fabric that has been weathered.
Okay. Cool. It looks, I mean, on the pictures here, it looks kind of like leather. So I guess you did your job right.
Thank you so much.
But so how long have you been doing this? I guess professionally.
Well, on Instagram, I first posted my first picture before Baltimore Comic-Con last year, which was in late September, I believe. And then I did my first shoot in October. So I started actually networking with photographers and getting paid to do shoots at around, I'd say November, December. And since then, I've been lucky enough to be signed onto a studio in Baltimore where I'm paid to go there and do a 6-hour shoot once a month with a variety of photographers. And I just do trade shoots on the side or, small jobs here or there. I'm available for bookings for like birthday parties and stuff like that. But it's great. I get paid directly from the photographers, and it's lovely.
Yeah. So talk about that. So you're saying that you go to a studio and you get basically you get like a day rate and different photographers take pictures of you. Are you changing at all throughout the day, or are you just one character all day?
Oh, absolutely. I change. When I do the studio shoots in Baltimore, which is where I go, I'm paid directly by the studio for my time there for the day, and then I'm paid individually by the photographers per half-hour rate, depending on how long we're shooting and how many photographers are involved. So generally when I do those days, it's 6 hours, so I generally bring 3 different looks. Sometimes I bring 4, and I just change into what's easiest. So the last time I went, or like one of the last times, I was Witch Mercy first. I ran around with the giant wings, and then I changed into Power Girl, and then eventually Spider-Gwen, just making it easier for me to, I guess, operate in the cosplay as the day goes on. And that's basically what I do. And it's a great opportunity to not only get pictures from a variety of photographers, but really network as well as at cons. I've been able to meet so many amazing photographers at conventions that I've been able to have a relationship with after cons and really make some amazing artwork with. So it's great.
Wow, that's crazy. So is that something they do with other people as well, or is it just kind of like because I mean, when I think of a photography studio, I think of like, models, or I think of, in my mind, because I mean, I work as I'm a sound engineer by trade. So what we do is, majority of the time we're doing car spots and casino spots, because that's what pays the bills. But there's things that we can do on the side that, like movies and stuff, that don't necessarily, they're kind of long form passion projects. I think I would feel like that would be more of a passion project for photography studios. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to word that any other way, but
yeah, no, I get you. A lot of the photographers, it's not like their full-time job. For some of them it is, for some of them it isn't. And it's amazing for the people who do it as a side job that they're as talented as they really are, especially ones who are very good with editing. And I don't know if you've seen one of my Mercy pictures where it looks as though I'm on a rooftop. That was just shot behind a black background, and he put that all in the background and just edited it beautifully. He's insane. And that's not even his full-time job. So there's some where it's kind of their full-time thing, and they use it to pay the bills. But in my case, it's mainly they do it and they pay me in order to build their portfolio, so that way they can pay the bills. So they can say, look, I can shoot cosplay, I can do it well, and this is what it looks like. Because generally, photographers who do it as a full-time job wouldn't be paying their models. They'd want to be paid directly. So this is really an opportunity for them to really showcase their work on another level that is cosplay. And by doing so, we'll be able to get more clients.
And you know what? That's like that's like perfect for you, right? Like, you go in there, you get paid, and they give you the rights, or they lend you, quote, quote, lend you these pictures to put out in your social media.
Exactly.
And that's you got it good.
Exactly. Yeah. It's great.
Do you have any friends or anything that kind of do the same thing you do, or is it kind of just out of your group of friends, it's just you?
I'm the only cosplayer out of my group of friends that I, don't know from conventions. Obviously, through cosplay, I've been able to meet some amazing people at cons who are now very close friends of mine. Where obviously cosplay is like the big thing that, really solidifies our friendship. But a lot of the time, my friends, aside from my really close friends that really know what I do, when I tell people I'm a cosplayer, they're generally very confused by it and they don't really know how to react. So I definitely stand alone in that, and I definitely try to keep my school life and my personal life separate from my cosplay life. And obviously there's some overlap, but I feel like my closest friends really understand what it is, and they love it because I love it, and it makes me happy.
Oh no, for sure. And I've heard that before too. A lot of people, they want a clear line between their social life, or their personal life and their cosplay life. And
Yeah.
why is that? Is that just because of getting some conceptions, or is that just because that's a preference, or what's the reason for the line in your opinion?
Well, I mean, obviously, if I'm in a relationship and my partner would like to do cosplay, I would completely be on board. I think that'd be awesome. But generally, I just think it's a fine line, because cosplay is the kind of thing where I could talk about it for a really long time, and I could especially talk about myself doing it for a long time. And there's just so much more to talk about, and there's so much more to do where, other people are actually involved. I'm sure it's not that fun to hear someone talk about cosplay if the other person isn't just as interested or enthused in comic books and that culture. So I try to kind of steer away from it and talk about things that all of us have in common, whereas this is just, my quirky thing. So obviously, if I'm going to a con or I'm meeting Stanley or it's something big, then of course they're going to hear about it. But generally, there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to do. I'm not going to try to shove every part of my big hobby onto them.
Okay, I can understand that. And by the way, so apparently June 16th, you did meet him.
I did meet Stanley.
How was that?
It was honestly amazing. I went there on Friday, which is the first day of AwesomeCon. He was there for all 3 days. I stood online for about an hour and a half. It was kind of, I don't know, it was a little frustrating because my ticket didn't quite work, but nonetheless, I went in, and his response was honestly the sweetest thing in the world to me. He smiled and he pointed at my cosplay. I was Spider Jane, so MJ in the spider suit, and he said, "Oh, those are two of my favorites." And I put my arm around him, and he called me sweetie, which just made me so happy. I can't even express it. And we said Excelsior as we took the picture. And honestly, my life has been made. Everything I could have ever wanted from that photo op, I've gotten. It was incredible.
That's amazing. And what's crazy is he's so involved in basically his life's work that he looks always happy to be. He's always there. He's always doing autographs. He's always doing all that jazz. And in my opinion, I've never heard anything bad about him.
Oh, absolutely. He's such a sweetheart, and he's so nice to all of his fans. And I mean, he's 94 years old. He's such a trooper to be there for so many hours every day and to be around so many people who are so excited.
Sure, yeah. So with all that being said, how much has your life changed since being an active cosplayer? You said you met new friends that are, friends for life. Have you seen new parts of the world? You say you travel here and there. Just tell me how much it's changed your life.
Cosplay has been amazing. I mean, I've been able to meet people on Instagram that I would have never been able to meet before. I grew up overseas and lived almost all my life overseas, and so I haven't really been able to take cosplay overseas yet, but because I've already had that traveling experience, it wouldn't be, a life-changing thing. But in terms of just meeting people, it's crazy. I have friends that I met in line while meeting Haley Atwell last year at Comic-Con that I still talk to every day. I have people at cons who, shout my username "Oh, your girl Olive" from the other side, and they're just so happy to see me. And just being able to go to cons and just really talk to people about comic books and things we both love is insane. I always say the nicest people are at conventions, and it's so true. I've never met someone there who hasn't just been super kind to come up to me or tell me that they like my cosplay or they like what I'm from or basically anything. And a lot of the time we really have, full-fledged conversations. And it's not just can I have a selfie and leave? But these are people who want to talk to you and want to share your passions. So it's completely changed my world. It's made me appreciate geek culture in a way that I never thought I would. And I'm so grateful for it every day.
And that's totally true. It's like meeting someone or finding out that a friend of yours has the same interest, and you just talk about it, and you just forget that there's time. You forget that you need to eat. You forget the things you planned that day. It just all goes away, and by the time you realize, you're like, oh shit, it's like that Will Ferrell thing and Step Brothers.
Exactly.
Did we just become best friends? Yeah.
Did we become best friends? Yeah, we did.
So that's cool. Yeah. When today I went to I forgot what it's called. I think it's just Amazing Con here in Vegas. But it was such a different experience, just meeting all the people that, you know, write the comics and draw, and all the local artists we have here. And there's just a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
There's just a lot of like people that I just didn't know that were actually local here. You know, like there's a couple comic shops that I didn't know about that just have all these amazing books and all that. And, you know, going into that, it's just like a whole different world that you didn't know about. But everyone there is super friendly. You know, I caught myself just talking about what I like, and, you know, they like the same thing. I didn't feel like, oh, okay, like I'm talking too much about it. But you get like that same.
Exactly, because they're so into it as well. I mean, going to a con is such a religious experience. It's so nice. There's nothing like it.
Oh, for sure. There's nothing like talking to someone about something that you both like admire and really hold close to your heart. Because once you forget, you know, like, you know, I feel like I'm a polite person. You know, if I feel like I'm talking about something too long, I'll be like, okay, in my mind, all right, we should change the subject, or maybe, you know, they should talk more. But it's like when it's kind of like you're both fighting each other to get out as much information as you can. Like, oh, I know this much about him, you know, I know that much about it. And, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always brings a smile to my face. And I had a couple of moments like that today. So it was really cool.
Isn't it great? It's
Yeah, for sure. But for people out there who are either getting in there or who maybe don't have the courage to start doing what you do, what are some tips or tricks you tell them, or what are some, you know, let's get it done kind of vibes you throw their way?
I mean, I completely understand where they're coming from, first of all, especially if it's like a self-esteem kind of thing that's holding you back. That's what really held me back from cosplay for the longest time. I kept on waiting for myself to look a certain way, or, you know, whatever, to act a certain way. I don't really know what I was waiting for. And then one day just kind of have to say, you know, F it, I'm going to go do it, and just buy one thing, buy one part of your cosplay, try it on and work with it. I remember with the Harley cosplay, I saw all of these beautiful Harley Quinn Suicide Squad cosplayers, and I just thought like, oh, that could never be me. And I felt more sorry for myself, because I thought, oh, I'm never going to look that way, and I'm not pretty enough, and I don't have this body that looks like that. But, you know, one day I just said, you know what, I'm going to buy a raglan shirt. It's going to say Daddy's Little Monster on it. I'm going to wear it, and I'm going to like it. And I did. I bought it. I put down my own money. It came to my house, and I thought, you know what, this is great. I'm just going to put together everything else. And I did. And from there, I just couldn't stop. And I loved it so much. So you really just kind of have to put your foot down, say, you know what, I'm going to invest in one thing, and you're going to just have to work with it. Because it's really just getting to that point of, I'm going to put my foot down, that's holding you back.
I totally agree. And what's crazy is like being on the internet and just being, there's just a lot of negative things that people say, and there's a lot of hurtful things that people say. And what's crazy and what I found out is that no matter what body, no matter what ethnicity, no matter whatever you are, if you go to a place like that wearing things that people like, they don't give a shit what you look like. You know, they don't care.
And also, if you're proud of it, you won't care. You know, you'll just be strutting around the con floor, so proud of what you've been able to accomplish.
Exactly. And even if I don't know, to me, like I saw a couple things that, all right, it kind of looked like a little thrown together, but it's just the fact that they went out and did it. That was like, hey dude, like, you know, you got to give props, dude. That was great. You know, cause you know, no one else did it. Right. Like I saw there's a game for Xbox called Gears of War, and I saw 4 people walking around dressed up as, like, you know, Marcus and Dom and, you know, shit like that. And it's like, you know, they had the guns and they had, you know, the body armor, but when you got closer, it was like, all right, it was, you know, there was a couple things here and there, but it's like, fuck, like that's so cool. Like, you know, I would have never thought of doing that. You know, I would have never thought of cosplaying as that, and that was the coolest shit. And they were getting mad compliments, and you know, these weren't, you know, it's just crazy. I don't know. You know, for anyone listening out there that wants to do it, just do it. You know, like, you know, you
exactly, just go for it.
You're getting advice from 2 people that have said, you know, at conventions, people will drool over that shit. I
mean, people would much rather see a handmade Wonder Woman, even if it's not completely screen accurate, even if there are staples coming out of the back of it, than, you know, a $1,500 piece of armor that you bought off Etsy. You know, people want to see someone who really takes the time and who obviously resonates with the character like you do. That's what really matters. It's that shared love.
Oh, for sure. And it goes back to what you were saying about getting every little piece right. You know, whenever you mass produce something, there are things that cannot be in it, right? Like there's suits that miss details. But if you take the time and do it, you know, a lot of people don't think that they will notice the details, but they do. I'm sure there are a lot of people who came up to you and said, you know what, like, I like your outfit because of the details, you know, or I noticed this, I noticed that you thought people wouldn't notice and you're glad you did. You know, if that hasn't happened, I know that's happened to other people. So it's...
Oh, absolutely.
But man, so taking this from a hobby to a business, what kind of tips can you give for that when it comes to like social media, when it comes to, you know, trying to make money for yourself? What different ideas or philosophies do you go about?
Well, I think in terms of creating a business or a name for yourself, unfortunately, a follower count does coincide with that. Even if that is pretty hard, you can have the most amazing cosplay, but if you have 200 followers, you're not really going to get anywhere with your business, which is unfair, but it's the truth. Try to market yourself, tag cosplay pages, you know, hashtag everything that you can in the comment section, try to get your name out there. And once you have built up a decent following, you can tell people, hey, I do commissions. This is the costume on me. This is what it could look like on you. These are the different things that I create. Or if you want to start a Patreon, you can do that as well. So it's really about just promoting yourself and making yourself, making a name for yourself, I suppose. Also, a big part of that is being nice to other cosplayers. It's crazy how many cosplayers think that they're in competition with other cosplayers, which I think is just insane. I mean, we all love geek culture. We all love comic book characters. We all love to cosplay. We should be able to, you know, support each other. Make friends. You support a cosplayer, you promote them, you bring them up. They'll probably do the same for you. And then both of you are growing and you can both be happy. And that will help your business and that will help you make a name for yourself. And
that's totally right. I've heard that as well. You know, it's like a lot of people don't feel forced to compete with each other, right? When you first start, it's that like conception, you know, that like, oh shit, like she looks better than me, like as Batgirl. So I feel kind of weird as Batgirl. But then you start talking to her and then you find, you know, she appreciates things that on your outfit that she didn't have and vice versa, you know? And then, so the next time she does Batgirl, she's going to have that. And she wouldn't have had that.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, to me, it's all about a learning experience. And that's what a lot of people have commented so far is that once they get past that initial, like, oh, she looks better than me, this and that, you just have a fun time.
And a lot of the time, there's so much that goes into that. The video of me as Spider-Girl in the spider suit just went viral recently, actually, which is kind of insane. And I saw some comments in the comments section of girls saying like, oh, like if I had that body type, then I could wear that. And I just responded like, honestly, it's a flattering suit and I'm wearing shapewear. You know, if I look like that every day, I'd be very happy too. You know, everything, there's so much that goes into cosplay. I don't walk around looking like that every day. You know, that's me at my peak, like, please, with some good lighting too. So, you know, don't be worried that you don't look like a certain person or a cosplayer because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that you don't know about. So just try your best, make it your own, and chances are you're going to look just as good, if not better, and feel amazing about it.
Well, it's crazy that, you know, you said that you started off in a position that you were on the other fence of that, right? Of that comment. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, you're experiencing being on the other side. So it must be weird. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the suit does look great. And I can see, you know, I'm looking at it right now. It looks fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So you mentioned earlier Patreon, right? So what exactly is that, and how can you be beneficial on there, like, you know, for the people who don't know, what is it?
Well, I don't have one personally, but I'm very familiar with it. Basically, Patreon is a website where you let your fans or your followers follow you on there to get exclusive content, and they pay for different tiers. So a tier could be, I'm going to send you a Polaroid picture, or I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to make something, or maybe it's boudoir or something like that. I've been considering making one for a while. I think it's a great opportunity. You really make up the tiers as you like. You show as much as you want. If boudoir is not your thing, you don't have to do that, obviously. You might not get the same amount of patrons as other people, but that doesn't matter. You do what you're comfortable with, and you really set up the tiers as you would like. And you can give away, you know, prints or Polaroids or tutorials, or, you know, maybe a different, like, accessory from each character every month, that could be a tier. It really depends on what you're comfortable with and what you would want to give away to your fans and supporters.
That sounds very helpful, for you, because I know that out of a lot of the work and time that gets spent into there, it'd be nice to see, some kickback to that.
Absolutely.
So I guess one of the last questions I have is, where do you see yourself going in the next 5 to 10 years? What's next for you?
Well, I'm a political science and history major, so it's very different from cosplay. In terms of my career, I have no idea, and I'm going to enjoy figuring that out. But in terms of cosplay, I'm going to continue doing it. It's something that I love to do. I don't really have a set lineup or anything, but going to cons and making cosplay makes me happy. And I'll be going to cons and doing cosplay until it stops making me happy. And I think I have a long time going. So in 5 or to 10 years or whatever, I hope to still be making cosplay. I hope to still be connecting with people who believe in what I believe in and who love what I love. And that's about it.
Okay, well, good luck to you. And so far, everything it seems like everything's working out for you. So hopefully it keeps going.
Thank you so much.
So then the last question is, what are some social media links that people who are listening can look out for, and what kind of shout outs do you want? That kind of jazz.
So I'm YourGirlOlive on Instagram, just instagram.com/YourGirlOlive, or if you use a phone like most people, just type in YourGirlOlive. One cosplay page that I absolutely adore, that I'm a page model for, is Cosplay Power, which is _cosplay_power_. I'm very proud to be one of their page models. They're one of the few pages that really showcases every cosplayer as an individual that is special. They really give a very nice description of everyone that they feature, and they're so down to earth and so amazing. I would also like to shout out Cosplay Amino Fans. It was one of the OG cosplay pages on there, and their slogan is, it's cosplay for everyone. So no matter what, you're going to be showcased. They love to see effort. They love to see a love of comic books and cosplay, but you don't have to look a certain way to be featured, or you don't have to feel pressure to do anything to be featured. They just believe in you as a cosplayer. So those two pages are very close to my heart, and I'm very proud to be shouting them out.
Fantastic. Is there any leaving notes you'd like to say to the people who are listening?
Just if you're on the fence about doing cosplay, just go ahead and do it. It might be nerve-wracking, but I assure you, if you're into geek culture and if you're into comics and if a certain character really resonates with you, honestly go for it, because if you like it, that's all that matters, and I'm sure a hell of a lot of other people would love it.
Well, I want to thank you so much for getting back to me and being interested in the show and being a part of this promotion. I hope that everyone who listens to this episode listens to it and just takes whatever, whatever you've said, all the information and techniques and tips you've given out, and takes it to heart. And, I hope it floods you on Instagram.
Thank you so much for having me.